Long live Brock Lesnar. In not one of but the most shocking pinfall in WrestleMania history, Brock Lesnar has now achieved immortality. Alright, this is a feat that will never be duplicated. There are many world champions, there are many Royal Rumble winners, there are many King of the Rings, but there is only one person to ever end the Taker streak, and that person is Brock Lesnar. Okay? 2 videos ago, I talked about how you don't need to become world champion to become a legend. Brock Lesnar is a former world champion, but that's not going to be what he's remembered for. Brock Lesnar is now a guaranteed legend, a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and the answer to the eternal trivia question of who is the one in 21-1. Hindsight is 2020. As you know, right before WrestleMania 30, the WWE released a Brock Lesnar shirt that said, "Eat, sleep, break the streak," which kind of confused me because I was thinking, this shirt is going to be outdated as soon as Taker beats the Lesnar at WrestleMania, so why would they sell a shirt for such a short amount of time? In hindsight, that should have been a clue, but for most of us, it was such a given that Taker was going to be Lesnar that we couldn't pick up on it. But when you think about it, Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker actually fits very well in WWE history. I mean, think about it. Brock Lesnar, as far as wrestling goes, is a pure WWE creation. He's a former WWE champion who has never been to WCW and never been to TNA. I'm sure that Vince would much rather have the Taker streak ended by a pure WWE creation than like a WCW legend like Sting. As for WrestleMania 30 overall, I think most would agree that it was okay. Not one of the best WrestleManias, but not crap either, somewhere in the middle. But, despite being somewhere in the middle, I must say that I have not enjoyed the WWE like this in forever. Between WrestleMania 30 itself and the Raw the night after, the WWE has not kept my attention like this since like 2002, something like that. The combination of Cena finally getting out of the spotlight, being able to see all these legends again, and several new stars getting my attention, I have not gotten this much enjoyment out of the WWE product in like 2004, something like that. WrestleMania 30 started with Hogan, Austin, and Rock in the ring together, which was a magical moment. And by now we've all seen it, so I don't need to get into it. But the segment did offer subtle commentary and acknowledgement on the state of wrestling. When Austin and Hogan were in the ring together, Jerry Lawler said, "These are arguably the 2 most popular stars in WWE history." Then The Rock joins him in the ring, and the Jerry Lawler says, "Without a doubt, these are the 3 most popular stars in WWE history." The Rock grabs the mic and calls Austin and Hogan the 2 biggest names in WWE history, and the crowd pops. Then, The Rock says the words "hustle, loyalty, and respect," and the crowd starts booing. What does this say about the PG era? What does this say about Cena and Batista? This segment is pretty much acknowledging that the Attitude Era still reigns supreme. One thing that's been getting very annoying, though, is how the commentators can't seem to shut up anymore about how this is a WrestleMania moment. As soon as The Rock and Austin hit the ring, the commentators couldn't shut up about, "Look, this is a WrestleMania moment. This is a WrestleMania moment." You know? Likewise, at WrestleMania 18, when Hogan and Rock were in the ring together, they couldn't shut up then either. This is a WrestleMania moment. Look, why can't you just let history decide for itself whether this is going to be a WrestleMania moment? Why do you have to call it that as it's happening? At WrestleMania 6, when Hogan was fighting Warrior, you didn't hear Gorilla Monsoon going on about how this is a WrestleMania moment. This is a WrestleMania moment. No! Gorilla Monsoon just called the match as it was a match and let history decide that it was going to be a WrestleMania moment. Now let's talk about the matches at WrestleMania 30. The matches, they were okay. They were okay. After every WrestleMania, you got pumped up fanboys talking about, "Whoa, this is the greatest card ever," but usually it isn't, and this wasn't either. In fact, as people have said, other than Lesnar versus Taker, this card could have passed for like a Monday Night Raw card. Alright, the first match was Triple H versus Daniel Bryan. Now, I'll want to talk about Daniel Bryan later, but I have just one small criticism about this match, which was overall a fun match. But the one small criticism is once again the lack of size acknowledgement in the match. Right? I've talked in previous videos about how Rey Mysterio would kick Batista and Batista would go flying backwards, like so unbelievable. In this match, you got Triple H, who's twice the size of Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan hip tosses Triple H, and Triple H goes flying through the air. You know, it's like, yeah, right. How am I supposed to believe in that? That's like Shark Boy hip tossing Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley flying through the air like, whoa! You know, come on, you know. Then at one point in the match, you have Triple H laying on top of Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan actually drags Triple H to the ropes. You know. How am I supposed to believe in this? This lack of size acknowledgement in WWE matches has bothered me for a while. You know, it takes me out of the match. The next match was the New Age Outlaws versus The Shield, and I can't say anything about that match because it was so short that I completely missed it. I literally took a short phone call, a very short phone call just as the match was happening, and by the time I hung up the phone and looked over, the match was over. It was just like that. So I can't tell you what about that match. I didn't even see it. The next match was the Battle Royal, which, as I said in my last video, shows you just how much the WWE disregards its new talent. You got Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, two part-time wrestlers, taking all the spotlight. Meanwhile, the new generation is shoved into this Battle Royal like there's a bunch of nobodies. Let's look at who was in this Battle Royal. You got Big E Langston, who's the Intercontinental Champion, but he doesn't even get his own match. Then you got like Khali, and I didn't even know he was still with the company. Then you have former world champions, The Miz and Del Rio, shoved into this Battle Royal like they're nothing more than a couple of ham and eggers, and on top of that, The Miz is eliminated by Santino. Think about the disrespect for PG era world champions. First, former world champion Jack Swagger is pinned by Santino on Raw with the help of a Muppet, and now The Miz is thrown out by Santino at WrestleMania. You know, what the hell? You know, where's the respect? The next match was Cena versus Wyatt, and the cheesy nature of this match represents everything I can't stand about Cena, the PG era, and the John Cena product that's clearly intended only for kids. You know, like the premise was, will he turn to the dark side? Will he hit Wyatt with the chair? Will he do it? Will he do it? You know, you can just imagine little 8-year-old fans decked out in Cena merchandise going, no, don't do it, Cena. Don't do it, Cena. Stay on the side of good, you know? But for the rest of us, it's like, what is this crap? You know, Cena needs to beat Wyatt to save his legacy? What the heck? The match dragged on way too long for its simple, cheesy premise, and the whole reason for this whole legacy thing is because it needed to tie in to the WrestleMania theme song because Cena has to be over-commercialized for everything. The next match was Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker, which I already talked about, but I just have one thing to add, and that's that the match wasn't actually that good. You know, it was actually kind of boring until the ending. After WrestleMania, there were reports that The Undertaker got a concussion and Brock Lesnar had to carry the match, which would make sense because the match was actually not very good. It kind of dragged on. The crowd wasn't even that into it. The next match was the Divas match. I got two thoughts on this. First of all, what is the point of AJ Lee? You got this average-looking Punky Brewster skipping around, and you can't even say she's supposed to be a hero for little girls because she's a heel. Second of all, this match is really stretching believability. I mean, you got AJ Lee, champion, in the ring with 20 challengers. First pin wins the match, and she's still able to retain. You know, that's impossible. Not even Hulk Hogan could do that. If Champion Hogan was in the ring with 20 challengers and first pin on whoever wins the match, Hogan is not retaining the belt because it's impossible. Yet AJ Lee is able to do it. But then, the next night on Raw, some random NXT girl beats her with one low-impact move to win the belt. You know, it's like, what is this crap? Speaking of impossible, let's finally talk about Daniel Bryan. Look, I understand the wrestling promotion having a storyline where the babyface beats the odds. But there comes a point where it becomes so ridiculous that you can't believe it anymore. Like, how the heck does Daniel Bryan come into WrestleMania injured, wrestle a match with Triple H, get beat down by a chair with Triple H, then wrestle a match with Randy Orton and Batista, get double teamed by them, get RKO'd through a table, get pulled out on a stretcher, get speared by Batista, and still come back to become world champion? Yo, what the hell? You know, like, that's not impressive. That's impossible. You know, like, in real life, Daniel Bryan would probably be in the hospital in a coma. He'd be a vegetable. You know, look, I'm not anti-Daniel Bryan, but the WWE went way too far over the top with this comeback thing. I could not pop for Daniel Bryan's win because it was too impossible to believe in. But overall, it was an okay WrestleMania. I mean, fans are going to overhype it as usual, but it was okay, you know. Bryan Triple H was fun. The tag match was too short. The Battle Royal was fun. Cena Wyatt was boring. Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker was boring except for the ending. The Divas match was a Divas match. And the main event was exciting except it was impossible to believe in. You know, it's like Batman beating Superman with one punch. You know, even if I'm a Batman fan, it's hard for me to cheer for it because it's like, what the hell? That's impossible. But overall, an enjoyable experience and the most fun I've had with the WWE in a long time.